Over the last couple of years, we learned that shocks are actually closer than expected. Our system is fragile, and it's always the less privileged that suffer the most in such conditions.
The current social protection frameworks in most countries in the world have failed to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've learned they're fragmented, as we've seen more people falling into the cracks and becoming vulnerable. They're unfair, and they don't ensure social justice, and they're very expensive. Governments have been mostly relying on social assistance packages to avoid social unrest.
What we've learned is that there are several key building blocks to ensure that social protection systems are shock responsive. The first is policy coherence, meaning that shock responsiveness needs to be embedded within a wider vision for the social protection sector at the outset, rather than in hindsight after social protection programs are developed. The second is ensuring strong governance and coordination. Then comes ensuring that there are the proper support systems in place, particularly when it comes to access to data. And then, since integrating shock responsiveness is not a one-off exercise, it's very important to ensure that there's sustainability in the long term. Moving towards more inclusive social protection systems requires a shift from the exclusive focus on poverty reduction into a more rights-based approach to social protection, and investing in universal schemes for social protection that provide benefits to everyone without exception.
We need to make sure that our social protection systems are more inclusive, through confirming the political will for a rights-based approach, and through mainstreaming participation and partnership throughout the design and implementation of our social protection programs.
For social protection frameworks to be inclusive, first we need to listen to the most vulnerable in society, make sure they're included in development and implementation. Second, they need to protect people throughout their life cycle to ensure people's resilience and ability to resist any shock. And third, those frameworks need to be integrated with fiscal policy and economic recovery to ensure economic inclusion and social justice.
We're seeing a change in the conversation around social protection and a shift from the narrow perspective that social protection policies are primarily concerned with poverty alleviation to a more broad view that social protection policies can actually have a transformative impact on individuals and communities, and they can do this by increasing productivity, reducing inequalities, stimulating social cohesion, and ultimately paving the way towards more inclusive growth.
The world is changing, and governments cannot keep on doing business as usual. They should be ready to redesign social protection systems to make sure they're inclusive, universal, and rights-based, and make use of technology for more efficiency, transparency, and scalability.
As more and more risks emerge, social protection systems need to expand their scope and their reach. They need to forge new partnerships and invest in the technology to make sure that they can innovate their targeting mechanisms, their implementation mechanisms, and achieve more progress on their graduation programs.